if you're drawn here to ClickFunnels, it's highly likely that you are one of the 1% crazies. Welcome home.
We are fueled and ready to go. So a couple questions came up during break here in person, and in the chat, if anything has come up that after an hour of percolation, you want to chat about, let me know. Because one of the things that I want to do, which I find is really helpful, is just walk through in your own membership or your idea for your membership, what at the very least the first stage and the last stage may look like. So at the break, a couple questions popped up like, Stu, if I have multiple almost ascension levels, do I need a success path for each level? And it really is a depends answer, but for the most part in general, my answer is going to be yes. Because it helps bring clarity and focus for people in terms of like where they are and what they need to do to get to that next level, so to speak. Now, you could have essentially like, a new, higher level of ascension at each stage. That's possible. But for the most part, what typically happens is you will have a success path, and once people get to a certain level, then they may ascend up. Like as an example, like maybe there's a success path to building a 6-figure business, and then there's a separate success path for building a 7-figure business as an example, right? Another question that came up was, what happens when people get to stage 5? Like, does that kind of mean that they no longer have a need for the membership? And I love this question because it comes up all the time. And the answer to that is, they absolutely need your membership on a regular basis, because here's why. So I mentioned that I play soccer, still do in my men's beer league, even though I don't drink any beer, but doesn't matter. But I used to play soccer at a really high level. So I played at university. We won 2 national championships. Many of the guys that I played with went on to play for our national team, excuse me, and also went to play pro. So I played at a really high level. So on our success path, so to speak, I'd probably be in that 5 category if it were a success path for soccer. However, just because I got to that level, does that mean that I'll forever maintain and stay in that level? No. I am not the player today that I was 20 years ago when I was at that level. And some may say, yeah, Stu, that's age. Maybe, but my skill set's not the same. The reason is because back then, I was practicing every day or playing every day, right? And so I was at a super high level, but the reason that my skills have dropped, so to speak, is because I didn't maintain them. It's the same for like, if you think about a martial artist, somebody who achieves their black belt. Does it mean that once they've got their black belt, they stop practicing the fundamentals of punching and kicking? No. In fact, I know a world champion black belt in karate. His name's Ricardo. And Ricardo's from Portugal. And he told me that even when he got his black belt, his sensei would make him practice the same punch and the same kick thousands of times. He just went deep and deep and deep in mastering the fundamentals. So when we're positioning this for our communities, we want to talk about this being a journey. This is a really key important word, by the way, is that this is a journey. And part of the journey is deepening our level of mastery and going deeper and deeper and deeper, particularly if the membership is evolved around mastering a skill. If it is a membership that's about focusing on a need, like solving an ongoing problem, there likely will be a time when they get to this stage where they may or may not need you. But at that point, you may have an opportunity then, like my friend Erico in Brazil, who's now using that stage as a way to teach and pour back into earlier stages. So a lot of people, when they get to this, they're so grateful that they've now learned the skill set or they've now made this massive improvement in their lives. They now want to share and help others. And so they stay plugged into the community accordingly. So hopefully that makes sense on that front. Any other questions in the room as a quick follow-up? Yes.
So if you are, so like, for example, with your soccer skills, when you get to the deepen the mastery phase, are you just adding more steps? Or I mean, more stages?
No, actually, I'm going back. And I'm going back through content that we've already done. So this is another myth about content in a membership. And the myth is, I've always got to create new. I've always got to create new content. New. The only way to keep people interested is new. Well, what I would say is the only way that we can really help our people develop deeper and skills is by going back and doing it again. So here's how you keep the content fresh. You may actually have the same content deliverables, but the way you freshen them up is just you have new examples or new applications. So, if I think about, I'll really simplify it down. If I think about the fundamentals of marketing online, specifically as it relates to memberships, there's really only 3 pillars. Here are the pillars. Number 1, traffic. We got to get what we have in front of the right people. If we don't get what we have in front of the right people, doesn't matter how amazing our offer is, we're never going to grow the business. So traffic is a fundamental. Number 2, conversion. You can get in front of the biggest audience, but if you can't convert them from people who are interested to becoming paying customers, you're never going to grow the business. And then as it relates to membership and subscription, the 3rd pillar is retention. So you can get all the members you want in a membership, but if you can't keep them, you've got a leaky bucket and the business is going to fall flat. So at the end of the day, when we boil it down, those 3 fundamentals are fundamentals that we want to go deep and deep and deep in. So even though I may have already taught content on those concepts, I'm still going to cycle back and I'm just going to show different applications or different examples of the same things that I'm teaching. And what happens is that when you go back and you teach again and again and again, we think people are going to get bored. They're going to bail. They're not interested. The opposite is actually true, because what happens is they start to develop the skills and they start to see that come to fruition. So all the things that we're talking about, all the benefits of learning the skills, they are not going to necessarily experience them in the beginning stages. But over time, as they go deeper in their level of mastery, they do, and it creates more excitement, more momentum, more confidence, and that's when progress really starts to happen.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome. Any other questions in the room real quick on that?
So you would say like frameworks are really foundational, and then you just refresh it with new stuff going back through the same framework.
Yeah, so for everybody at home, the comment was, so frameworks are foundational, and then we refresh it with new examples and stuff, but we go deeper on the frameworks? Yes, 100%. Like, perfect example. Russell taught this new linchpin framework at Funnel Hacking Live. But has he talked about this at all in the last little bit? Like since then? Of course he has, right? And he keeps coming back to it. He keeps coming back to it. He puts it on the front cover of workbooks. He's got tattoos that people were tattooing on him, for crying out loud. Like, he just keeps coming back to the same framework again and again and again. He may or may not have built a monster business teaching one webinar framework. Hello? That's the same thing, right? How many times did he teach that? He taught it in 50 different ways, but it's the same thing, right? He's just coming at it from different angles to really hammer home, the lesson of it so that people actually, 1, get it, and 2, implement it. So, the natural tendency for us as experts or creators or what have you, is that we always want to teach new because we get bored with it far sooner than our audience does. It's like, one of my favorite bands is U2. And when U2 comes to town, I mean, if they don't play Where the Streets Have No Name, like there's going to be an uproar. You know what I mean? Like, and they're probably so sick of playing that song, but that's the song that everybody comes to hear, right? It's the same thing for us. Our frameworks are the foundational elements of our memberships, and we want to absolutely come back to them again and again and again, and not be afraid to go deeper and deeper. Okay, any comments in the chat? I'm just checking real quick. So Shauna was talking about the founding member launch, so I know a couple of questions came up about that. So Shauna said here, so we're thinking for a supplement, we could use a founding member launch in offering a locked-in price as long as they stay on subscription, yes. And for being a founder, they can vote and taste new flavors, yes. And be able to buy them first, yes. And get the inside scoop on things in development. Absolutely. Shauna, that is an amazing plan. And I would be very intentional about how you are involving your founding members in that development process. People love being part of the creation of something. So I think the fact that you are involving them in flavors, you can even involve them in voting on packaging and things of that nature, all of which it increases their commitment level on that side of things. So I think that's a great idea. I see some questions coming up from Fabiana about evergreen versus open and close. We're going to get to that in this session. So, don't worry your pretty little self. We will get to that here in just a minute. Shelby said, Stu, if you had less than 50 members, could you relaunch with a founding member launch approach? 100% you could. It's just all about protecting the best interests of your existing 50 members. So what I would do first is I would go to them and I would say, I heard this crazy Canadian who was talking about, taking memberships like ours to a next level, and it got me thinking. So I'd say the exact same intro, but I would just share it with your existing members, and then the punchline for them is, you don't need to do anything, and the great news is your price is going to be locked in at your current member rate. So even if when we relaunch this, you see the price go up, I want you to know that you'll be locked in. But what you really want them getting excited about is, where the membership is going, and that they don't need to do anything, that they were the smart ones who got in early. Like, I'll give you a real example, powerful example of how founding member launch pricing can dramatically impact your retention. We're going to get to retention a little bit later, but I'll just touch on this now. Does anybody remember the webinar platform GoToWebinar? You guys remember that? It seems like, GoToWebinar, who uses that nowadays? But GoToWebinar, when they initially launched, you could get a 1,000-seat account. I got some old schoolers in the chat as well. Awesome, thank you. So you could get a 1,000-person account. I think it was for like $79 a month or something like that.
99.
Was it 99?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was 99 bucks.
You paid 99.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay, so $99 a month. Now, I remember when it was $99 a month, and I was like, I don't necessarily need 1,000 right now, but like that's still a good deal. Like I'll get it when I need it. And then legit overnight, they went from 99 bucks a month to $4.99 a month. And it was just like, whoa, what happened? Like, but they, everybody who was in at the $99 still, was locked in at that price point. Well, there was such an uproar. And people were asking, well, wait a minute, can I get the old rate? And they're like, no, like this is the new rate. This is what it is moving forward. If you're a new account, you got to pay the $4.99 a month, blah, 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 blah. So it was so valuable that people were selling their GoToWebinar accounts on the secondary market. So legit, I bought a GoToWebinar account that was at the $99 rate. I paid $600 to be able to get this account. And then from that point forward, I just went in and changed my information so that from that day forward, I was paying $99 a month versus the $4.99 a month. So this is how valuable, founding member pricing can be. And you said you're still paying it.
You can buy an account, an old account now on eBay for $6,000.
Okay. Harrelson said you could buy an old GoToWebinar account at $99 a month for $6,000 on eBay. Like, that's a perfect example, again, of just how valuable that pricing becomes. And as a member who has that founding member launch pricing, do you think they ever want to give that up? No. And you want to make them feel like the smartest person in the room because they made the decision and became a founding member. You want to remind them of the savings that they're experiencing on a regular basis. You want to continue to emphasize, like, dude, you were a genius to get in when you did. It is good to be you, right? Like, this is the positioning you want for that founding member price. So I always recommend launching earlier rather than later. for the other reason, and that is you will gain and learn so much information. We were just talking at lunch about, should I wait or should I, launch now? Launch now. The reason being is you will learn so much from your existing members that will shape and influence the structure of your membership, the content that you're going to provide, because we think we know what our members are struggling with or challenged with. But until you actually start working with them, you're going to find, I guarantee you, that people are getting tripped up way earlier in the process. So you think, and they think that they're further along initially, but once you actually start working with people, you realize they're missing a whole bunch of foundational elements. Like we got to go back and slow way the heck down. So that's another thing I wanted to share about that. But here's what I want to do. I just want to take a minute. I want you to think about your two extreme stages. Your now, like the first stage and your last stage. And I want you to draw a T-chart like this. This is what it's a process I walk our community through called the messaging map, but it's essentially helps us nail not only our messaging, but the first two stages of our success path. So what I want you to do is I want you to write single word or short phrases that describe what your market is thinking, feeling, and doing. So single word or short phrases that describe what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and what they're doing. And then on the opposite, I want you to do the same. Single word or short phrases that describe what they are thinking, feeling, and doing now that they've experienced that transformation. So the reason we want to use single word or short phrases is because it forces us to simplify our communication. And in doing so, it makes understanding the transformation we provide in our membership so much easier. And from my experience, if people get what we are doing right away, anything that comes thereafter, they are way more open and receptive to receive. So just take a minute now. We're going to do these two stages. This would be essentially your stage 1. This would be your stage 5 as an example. And I just want you to take a moment. We'll take a couple minutes and then we'll share some examples. So at home, I want you to do the same thing. I want you to take out a clean sheet of paper, line down the middle, line across, now on the left, future on the right. One, like single word or short phrases that describe what people are thinking, feeling, and doing. And then you're going to do the same on the future side. And if you get stuck on describing the future, just look at this side and think of opposite words. If they're feeling overwhelmed, an opposite of overwhelmed would be?
Not overwhelmed.
Not overwhelmed. Clear. Right. Okay. If they are confused on the left, what would be the opposite? Clear. Right. Exactly. If they are frustrated, what would be the opposite? Excited. Yes, exactly. You're with me. Okay, good. Okay, we're getting there. So I want you to exercise that muscle right now because creating this contrast is really important on the marketing side, which is what we're about to get into. So take a minute. Let's walk through that, and then we'll come back and we'll chat and discuss. And I want you doing it at home as well. Let's have a, do we have the catch box? Where's that gone? Oh, it's back there. Okay. Let's have a couple shares. And in the chat, I'll be coming to some of you here in just a minute. So if you're open to sharing, stand by. Okay. What words were you using to describe their now?
Not enough, as in not enough leads.
Okay.
So, overwhelmed, confused, frustrated, distracted.
Yeah.
Throwing spaghetti on the wall.
Throwing spaghetti on the wall. Okay. And so if we're to dig a little bit deeper, what does that frustration have them feeling?
Like they're not making progress with all the stuff that they have going on. You know.
So what are they saying to themselves as a result of that?
I don't understand what I'm doing. I have no idea how to do this.
And what is that doing for their confidence?
Killing it.
Killing their confidence. And what are the thoughts that are now entering their mind as a result of the confidence that is being crushed on a daily basis?
There's no way I can do this. This isn't going to work for me.
And they're on the verge of giving up. Yeah. And so I want everybody to listen how I'm trying to go a little bit deeper. Because what we want to do is we want to be able to describe them better than they can even describe themselves. So I love digging a little bit deeper. And like, as an example, in some of that, I would say, and how else is that impacting other areas of their life?
Their wife's mad at them because they spent their life savings to get into this new business and figure things out. Their kids don't see them ever, and they have no idea how they're going to make their next mortgage payment.
Amazing. So friction at home, zero relationship with kids or poor relationship with kids. And then, and then what words were you using to describe the other side?
Honestly, I actually sat in the now, but in the future, it would be confident, clear, focused on, they now know, right? There's certainty with the process. They have a map. They have a picture of what are the steps I need to take. How do I implement these ideas and actually do what I need to do? So
great. This is great. So you had here like no leads.
Yeah.
So, the opposite of that would be...
for me, the opposite of that would be I don't have to worry about my leads. I'm just worried about my existing clients and delivering at a high level there.
Right. Okay. So if I were to just try to condense it, I'd say consistent leads, right?
Yeah.
And then but the result of no leads creates pressure. Like they're constantly feeling pressure. The opposite of that would be what? Ease?
Yeah.
And so what's happening with sales? If they don't have leads, they probably don't have sales.
There's no conversations.
No sales convos. And the opposite of that is?
I've fully booked calendar.
Fully booked calendar. Love it. And we said friction at home. The opposite of that would be, how would you describe it?
Time off anytime. Freedom, control at home.
Friction at home. I want to get more to the relationship side, like like friction with their partners and like almost like their partner is proud of them or there's pride. Collaboration. Yeah, like joy. Harmony at home. Woo.
Oh, there you go.
By the way, this is an awesome chance to write down words that you hear others are using that you could also use yourself.
Balance is another word that comes to mind there.
Great. So the opposite of that was unbalanced and unpredictable. Great. And the opposite of that would be balanced, certainty, Now, the reason we're going through this, and so thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I'll just give you a quick example. When we're going into the front end marketing to position our membership, it's so much easier for people to instantly understand the value when we can create this contrast. So what I would typically do is anytime I'm about to make an offer, I do one of these messaging maps where I do a T-chart like this, now, future, and I'm looking for words. And when I'm live, and I'm about to present, I'll have a sticky note, like a big sticky note like this right behind the camera with these words. Because I'll say things like when I'm live, so if you've ever felt the pressure that comes from not having leads, which leads to little or no sales conversations, which you and I both know, if the business isn't generating sales, it's creating a ton of pressure in the business, but it's also creating friction and pressure at home. And that puts pressure on your relationships with those that matter most, including both your spouse, but also your kids. And it's not your fault. You're trying hard. But what's happening is because you're trying so hard, everything is unbalanced in your life. Everything is unpredictable, but yet you have no idea where to turn next. Now you contrast that with a process that produces consistent, steady leads, allowing you to run your business with complete ease, where your calendar is consistently fully booked, making business easier, but making your life so much more joyful, creating harmony at home, where now you're living a life that is balanced with tremendous certainty. This is timeout. This is just quick, simple copy on the fly, but you can see now people immediately can see the value that you're providing. I haven't even gone to talking about the offer or anything of that nature. I'm just creating contrast between where they are now and where they are in the future. And I'm using simple and short phrases and I'm threading them together in a story that people can relate to. I did this exercise. I got invited to speak at a mastermind of women entrepreneurs who are all running seven-figure businesses. And one of them has a teaching membership where she's helping teachers. And we walked through this exercise and I took the words that she gave me, just like we did here with Bud, and I walked through this and I mapped it out, and then I shared it back to her. By the time I was finished sharing with her, she was in tears. And I said to her, I said, what's happening? Why are you getting emotional in this? And she said, because I was that teacher. She said, I love serving teachers because I was that teacher. And in hearing you put this together, it brought me back to that moment. And this is exactly why this is so powerful. Because when you can connect on this level, now, when you then go to make an offer, they're not even thinking about price. They're not even getting tripped up on all the things that people generally get tripped up on. This is why we experience such high conversion rates, because we do the work here first, set the foundation, and we communicate in a simple and clear way to create the contrast. And the contrast is the key. Contrast is the key. Now, here's another way that I'll use this. There's the story element, like I just outlined. But then I'll also do quick contrasts. I'll be like, so if you want to go from no leads to consistent leads, you want to go from pressure in your business to ease in your business, no sales convos to fully booked calendar. So I'm just bouncing back and forth. And I'll do that consistently in my sales copy. I'll do that consistently in my webinars and my presentations. But what happens is the more you create this contrast like this and use it, the easier it is for people to understand the value that you're going to provide, and more importantly, the transformation that will take place inside of your membership. Is it making sense so far? Let's do one more example. We'll do one in room and one virtually. Anybody else in room want to go? Yes, go for it.
Anybody else want to go? No? Okay. You got it. All right. So currently, now, I put down a term that we use internally on the now, which is they feel like the COE, which stands for Chief of Everything, versus being the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer.
Chief of everything. Okay, got it.
Doing it themselves. They don't have a team or support. So as a result, they feel lonely, and they also feel overwhelmed, burnout. Those are all feelings I put down. And then the contrast in the future would be that they are well supported, that they are in alignment.
Only well supported. You said in alignment?
Yes.
I think I missed something else. What else did you say?
I think I said, what did I say? Well, CEO, they're actually operating like a chief executive officer, not a chief of everything. They have a team, basically.
Okay, got it. Well supported, in alignment.
Overwhelmed. I put ease and flow, energized.
Amazing. Okay, and remind me again who your market is?
Women entrepreneurs.
Women entrepreneurs. And what's the problem you're helping them solve?
We're helping them make $1 million. So,
So right now they're at like just getting started?
yeah, so not necessarily just getting started, but we call it, like, our framework, they start out the expert level. Like, we all go into business because we're an expert at something, and our ascension model is really to help them become like a thought leader, at the celebrity level.
Okay, got it. So entrepreneurs, and the focus is to seven-figure. Oh gosh, this is my worst nightmare. Spelling in front of people. Okay, so seven-figure. Okay, so similarly, in this, when they're feeling overwhelmed and burned out, what are the thoughts that are going through their mind at that point?
Their thoughts are, I'm, a best kept secret. Their thoughts are,
Imposter.
imposter syndrome. I'm an imposter.
Like, who am I?
Yeah, who am I? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is really hard. What have I done? I need a job.
Who are the women? Do they have people who are doubting them?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So this is where I love getting into the conversations that they're having. So what I want us all thinking about is, like, when they're lying in bed at night, what are the thoughts that they're thinking that they may not communicate? They may not even talk to their spouse or partner about it, but they're definitely thinking.
Yeah, they're failing their family.
Maybe they were right.
Yeah,
Whoa,
yeah.
that's the
Maybe
one.
they're right, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Maybe, that's so juicy. Maybe they were right. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a hot tip. When we're thinking about words to describe what they're thinking, feeling, and doing, I love to spend time thinking about hot button words. Words around embarrassment. Words around guilt. Words around fear. Because when we can get to them, this is where we go from surface level marketing copy to copy that just pulls people in. And when I say copy, I'm talking either written copy or spoken copy, where people feel seen and heard on a level that they've never felt before, and they're instantly drawn to you. So for example, if you can get into their mind with these kinds of thoughts, and they're actually having these kinds of thoughts, it's like an instant magnet. Like it's so easy at that point. So for example, in this case, if I was telling this story, I would say, you got into starting a business because you know what you're capable of. But as you got started, you just became the chief of everything. Everything's falling on your plate. You're doing it all yourself, and it creates this sense of loneliness. And you don't have anybody to talk to. Many times, not even your spouse. Why? Because they were supportive in the beginning. But as time goes on, they've started to question whether you ought to go back and get a regular job. And you've resisted it for so long. But as time has gone on, you started asking yourself, maybe this is too hard. Who am I to really do this? Can I really do this? And am I creating pressure and friction for my family and trying to be stubborn and stick with something that's not working? And worse, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not capable of running my own business. Maybe it would be easier to just give up and go and get a regular job. But there's this little flame inside of you that keeps telling yourself, I know I can do this. I know I'm the best kept secret in the marketplace. I've just got to figure out X. Because the amazing news is when you do figure out X, you go from that person doing it all to that person that's focused on the few things that really matter, the few things that only you can do, the few things that are your God-given talents. Equipped with a team who is capable of taking your ideas and running. Because you're now well supported on a level that you can't even imagine, where you're in complete alignment with the things that you love to do, where your day is full of ease, flow, leaving you fully energized, and your family incredibly proud of what you have accomplished. So as we talk about embarrassment, guilt, and fear on this side, really amazing trigger words are pride, pride in yourself, but also others having pride in you, like spouses having pride in you, kids having pride in you. So oftentimes what I'll describe is like, on here, I'll have a one-liner like, you're speaking in an audience and the people sitting front row, smiling the widest smile, are your spouse and your kids. Like that picture is just like, oh, that's amazing, right? Like that goes right here.
Yeah.
So in my marketing, and one of the things that I'm recommending for everybody here is like when you're thinking about copy and we're thinking about creating the contrast. This is why that success path is so important, because we're talking about the very first stage where they are. This is ultimately where they want to be. And if we can create this contrast in the most simple way, and we can do it where we are connecting both with their head, but also their heart. Like it's what I call, so the sweet spot, obviously, is right here, because typically most marketing focuses on this, the logic of buying, why we're buying, right? You're paying this price, you're getting this value. Duh, that's an easy win. And that'll work for a lot of cases. But when you can incorporate this side, which is more of the artist, more to the speaking to the heart, this is where I'm talking to like the kids having pride, them having pride in themselves, right? Like we're talking to the emotional side. And this is what I call, is a very technical term. You want to write this one down. We want to become a scientist. Where we're using copy that speaks to both the head and the heart. And so this is really important when we're creating contrast for our membership sites, because people aren't buying just to get stuff. They're buying to experience progress. But then when you take it a step further and you talk about the impact that that progress will have, and we paint that picture for people, they're committed psychologically on a much deeper level. It goes from a transaction, I'm buying to get into the membership to download a bunch of stuff, to now a much deeper connection to an outcome. So instead of it being a transaction, it now becomes a relationship that they have with you on a much bigger journey. The commitment level goes up. So great job. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, in the chat, I see Samantha, you're the first one that I see, buddy. Okay, so I'm just going to read this. Samantha said, okay, my market is curing thyroid disease in women of color. So the now, words to describe, will I ever feel better? Tired, sick, can't lose weight, frustrated with no results. Something is wrong, but no one is listening. That's all great, by the way, Samantha. And here's what I would just say. When you talk about frustrated with no results, I would love for you to get specific in terms of like what they may have tried in the past or who they may have seen in the past. And then the future, she said, off thyroid medications, feeling better, losing weight, understand the disease, and bragging to their doctor. Yes. Okay. So Samantha, some of the trigger words there is that feeling of the now is their doctor telling them one thing, but them intuitively knowing that it's something else, right? I just experienced this with my wife, Amy. She had some reaction flare up where her one side of her face was all of a sudden one day just swelled right up. We had no idea what was going on. And we were traveling at the time, so she went and see a doctor and they said, oh, it's just allergies. It'll go down, sort itself out. And so we waited a few days and it wasn't sorting itself out. And she intuitively knew that there was something else going on. And we ended up seeing 3 different doctors and all of them kept saying, it's nothing, it'll pass. And it wasn't passing. And that's kind of what I'm saying. She was being told one thing, but intuitively was feeling something else. So there's this feeling of satisfaction. Same is true for you and Samantha. There's this feeling of satisfaction that not only did she figure it out, but the feeling of satisfaction of being able to go back to the doctors and teach them what it actually was, right? It's almost like that's one of those trigger points. So Samantha, you're on the right track, buddy. And what I would just encourage you to do is also write a few words to describe, like go a layer deeper in terms of will I ever feel better? Will I ever feel better? Inside, they may feel like they're just settling at that point. They're just almost like come to terms with this is just how my life is going to be. I'm just going to have to deal with this, navigate this. You talked about being tired and sick. Like, what are the ripple effects of that? It means that maybe they can't socialize with friends and family because they are always sick, or they can't be around others as often in fear of getting sick. So they become more isolated, more lonely, more alone in their thoughts. And with that, maybe they're not involved in experiences like with their family, their kids are growing up, and they're not even a part of that growth and that maturity and that evolution. So just take it a step further, but you're on the right track. And so when you're framing this up for people, again, remember, single words, short phrases makes it easier for it to land. People can immediately see the value because of the contrast that you're creating. The contrast is the key. The contrast is the key. Okay. So with that, let's shift gears, because this sets the foundation for the way in which we're going to position our memberships, the way in which we're going to position the value. And I would encourage you that when you begin working with your members inside of your membership, I want you to listen for the words that they use to describe their now situation. I want you to listen for the words that they use to describe like what they're looking for to get out of this membership, because this will change. It evolves. And the more you can keep your finger on the pulse of those thoughts and feelings, the more effective you will be. I'll give you a quick example. In 2020, we every year do one big launch for our primary program. And the launch was happening in April. And in midway through March of 2020, guess what happened? World shut down, right? COVID hit, and mad panic, mad uncertainty. And we had this moment in our company where we were debating, do we move forward with our launch or not? And we had built up a ton of momentum up to that point. I knew it was going to be a big one, but now all of a sudden this happens, and it just threw a massive wrench into our plans. So we were at a point where we were deciding whether we just move the launch to later in the year or whether we move forward with it. And ultimately, a friend of mine gave me a great piece of advice. He said, Stu, as long as I've known you, I've never known you to make a major decision in your life from a place of fear. And he said, if you move this launch, is that because you believe that it would be the best scenario, or because you're moving it because you're unsure or afraid of what might happen given the circumstances? And I was like, dang it, like, don't you just hate those moments when you're like, what you're hearing is hard to hear, but it's true. And I was like, okay, I got it. So we moved forward with the launch. Now, fortunately for us, in a weird way, a lot of our affiliate partners were looking at our launch almost like a guinea pig of what's going to happen in the marketplace. So they're like, we'll support you, hope for the best. But we got amazing support. But we decided to move forward with the launch, but our marketing had to change because the thoughts, the feelings, and what people were doing had changed the moment that the world shut down. So where I had filmed a whole bunch of stuff ahead of time, all of that went out the window, and we ended up delivering everything live. And I did this exact exercise in detail to really go into the head, heart, and mind of what people were thinking, what they were experiencing. And I committed to showing them the other side of what was happening in the marketplace. So whereas the media was talking about all the doom and gloom, I knew, because I got my finger on the pulse of the membership industry, what was actually happening, and memberships were actually thriving. And I told that story. And we ended up having our most successful launch. We did an $8.9 million launch, all based on the fact that we changed and modified the messaging based on the current circumstances. So this will change based on what is happening in your marketplace. So you've got to be nimble to be able to adjust it accordingly. Okay, so let's talk about 9 high-profit membership funnels. This may be a refresher for some of you who were at Funnel Hacking Live. The good news, or the bad news, is that Funnel Hacking Live, I had 30 minutes. Here, we've got a little more time to unpack some of these and go into detail. Before we do, what I need you to know is that there is 100% a shift in thinking as it relates to membership sites. We talked earlier this morning about the hobbyist and the business owner and the difference in their growth curve. So much of that was due to the way in which people were thinking about not only their content, but also their marketing. Ultimately, we want to be this guy who is like crushing it and dominating on the mats. But many times, if we don't get this right, we're more like this guy who is kind of doing it, but not totally, accurately and in the right way. Something's just off, right? And so at the end of the day, I shared this. There are really 3 pillars to membership success. 1 is attracting our people. We got to get in front of the right audiences. Number 2 is converting that audience and welcoming new members. And number 3 is retaining those members and keeping them happy and paying. So for our purposes, this is the immediate focus in most membership businesses. When you're getting the membership off the ground, you're focused on attracting and converting. This is the long-term focus, is retention. If we can't keep people happy and paying, we have a leaky bucket and it creates tremendous difficulty. So for this presentation, we're focusing on this area right now, which is on the conversion side. Now, as we go into it, I touched on this briefly earlier this morning, but there are typically 3 stages of growth. Stage 1 is the launch, which is where you're getting it off the ground. It's usually 0 to 100 members. Stage 2 is then growing the membership. This is where you're going from a few hundred members to a few thousand members. But typically around the 2,000 to 3,000 member mark is where the strategy needs to shift again to be able to really scale it from thousands of members to tens of thousands of members. Again, our focus is going to be in this middle area, growing the membership. Now, many of you, I know, because it's not my first rodeo, you're an ambitious group. You wouldn't be here in this room or with us live if you weren't an ambitious group. So I know that you want to go from 0 members to thousands of members as quickly as possible. And there's a likelihood that you're going to discount some of the things that I'm going to say, like being mindful of these stages and taking your time. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up putting yourself in a position like these guys, where you're going to move way too quick, way too fast, and you'd be better off just slowing down and taking your time. This was Russell and Colette on there. I'm just kidding. Okay. Here's the first lesson in marketing your membership. You've got to give people a reason to buy today. So I don't know if any of you do this, but I as a business guy, I love seeing great offers. Is anybody else just like, I know Russell's obsessed. You love great offers. I love great offers. And one of my favorite things to do is when I'm on Instagram, is just seeing, ads for offers coming through. And I'm like, ooh, that looks good. I want one of those. I'm going to save that for later. And so I have legit hundreds, the internet kicks in, hundreds and hundreds of products that I've seen that I'm just like, that looks amazing. I want one of those. And I could keep scrolling. This could go on for days. But here's the interesting part. Of all these products that caught my attention, that I said I would 100% want to buy, I've only ever bought 2. And it was the same product that I bought twice. And it was a pretty expensive product. It was a $1,500 purchase. And I bought 2 of them, so that's $3,000 from a Facebook ad. What was the difference? The purchase that I made had a deadline. If I didn't buy before a certain time, I wouldn't get the price. They gave me a reason to buy today. With memberships, this is more relevant than you can ever imagine. Because if you don't give people a reason to buy today, people will come across your membership and they'll say, ooh, this looks good. This could really help. I'm going to save this for later. That's the kiss of death. Because very rarely, if ever, will they come back and look at it again. So we got to give them a reason to buy today. So a lot of membership sites have their membership site open all the time, and they have 0 reason for people to join today. And I'm going to show you some examples of the before and after of giving your people a reason to buy today. So the first membership funnel is the membership launch funnel. And it looks like this. You have some kind of a pre-launch runway. You make an offer with a deadline, and you follow up leading right up to that deadline. So pretty straightforward, right? Like this is a typical, promotion that we would run. And what I will tell you is, from my experience, the longer the runway, the bigger the result. Does that make sense? So like the more time you take building up to this thing becoming available, the more excitement and anticipation there will be, and the bigger launch you will have. Then you have your offer. This could be made on a webinar. It could be made, in a variety of different ways. And then you have the follow-up that goes right up until that deadline. So here's an example. This is Jennifer Allwood. She has a membership site teaching other creatives like artists and furniture painters and all kinds of creatives, teaching them how to grow their business with social media. So the old way was that she had her membership site open all the time, and it took her 3 years to grow that membership to 750 members. And she would talk about it every now and then, but she always felt like she always had to talk about it in some way, and it was really laborious for her. And then she was in my mastermind, and one year she came up to the front of the room and she said, okay, like this is the year that I really want to take this to the next level. She's like, I know that I can get this to thousands of members. And I said, okay. And I was listening to her. And then the more she talked about it, the more I smiled. And she's like, no, I'm not doing that. I said, I haven't said anything yet. She's like, I know what you're thinking. She's like, no, I won't do that. I said, what am I thinking? She said, you're going to tell me to close the membership. I said, yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. She's like, I'm not going to do it. I said, why? And she said, because I don't want to do a big old launch. Like, that's just not my thing. Like, I'm not into that. Like, that's stressful, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay. I said, well, what feels light and easy for you? She said, well, like jumping on a Facebook Live feels light and easy. I said, okay. I said, so what if you could design a launch that was around what felt light and easy? Would you be open to doing that? And she's like, well, yeah. And she said, look, I'm up here because I want to get to the next level. So I'm open to whatever you're going to say. I may not like it, but I'm open to it. I said, okay. So we designed a launch that was built around her delivering Facebook Lives. And it went like this. She wanted to make a bunch of updates in her membership anyway. So I suggested that the reason for closing the membership is because she's going to do a bunch of maintenance on it. So if people wanted to get in, they get in at the current price. She's going to make some updates, and when she relaunches and open it, the price is going up, but those that got in, their price would remain the same. Very similar structure to the founding member launch, right? And then I said to her, and in closing the membership, if you feel like it wasn't a good idea or didn't feel comfortable, then you just open it and you go back to what you had done regularly from that point forward. So it took her 3 years to grow to 750 members. When she did this launch, in 1 week, she welcomed 1,100 new members. 3 years, 750, 1 week, 1,100 members. And she's got all kinds of testimonials from her people thanking her for giving them a reason to sign up today. Many of them were, around the using language like, I've been thinking about it for a long time, but I finally pulled the trigger. And the other interesting part about this is that it created more room for her to double down on her members. So before, she always felt like she was in promotion mode. Now she only did 1 or 2 promotions a year, and it gave her a lot more time. Membership funnel number 2, the secret invite funnel. Here's how this works. Ads that lead to a request invite page. I'll show you an example of this in a minute. Which then leads to an evergreen webinar, which then makes the offer for the membership. So the example of this is Tony and Levi, who have grown their guitar membership to more than 12,000 plus members at $297 a year. And the way their funnel works is like this. You come to their page, you're not going to be able to see anything other than this request invite button. When you click that, it takes you to this, which is essentially a evergreen webinar sign up. Then, after they go through this, So after they go through the webinar, then they're made the offer of the membership that has a deadline whereby, again, they need to sign up within a week of getting that invite to join the membership. Third one, the thank you email funnel. This one's so stinking easy. You're going to say, oh, dude, it can't be that simple. It's that simple. You just got to do it. Here it is. So you have some list builder or opt-in. The first email that gets sent to people that delivers the thing that they're opting in for, you invite them to a webinar. And then during the webinar, obviously you make the offer and send them to the sales page. Susan Bradley is a perfect example of this. She teaches women in the e-commerce space how to grow their e-commerce business. You can see her stats there. She's got over 1,200 members, $49 a month, $490 for the year. And this is the email. It might be a little tight to read on screen, but essentially she says, I know you're working on growing your sales. And before you try all the things, I have some insider information for you. You might be thinking that your sales are slow because there's something wrong with your website, your product, your pricing, or your abilities. A store owner posted this in our free Facebook group the other day. Can someone please help with looking at my store and give some feedback? I've tried everything but have zero sales. It's disheartening. Not sure what I'm doing wrong. It reminded me of how it feels when you've tried everything to get more sales. When you're at the point where you're stumped and frustrated because you just aren't getting the sales you know you should be getting. By the way, are you hearing the language that we just talked about with the, yeah. And you think you're doing something wrong. But the truth is 95% of the stores I see are fine. Not perfect, but good enough to get sales every day. And there's a reason you're not getting the sales you want, and there's a way to fix it. I made this free workshop to show you why you're not getting the sales you want, and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to get on the path to sales every day. Button, give me the workshop. And then she goes on a little bit more. Here's what's happened. 37% of the people who receive her email end up opting into the webinar. 69% show up for the webinar. 14.5% buy from the webinar into the membership. And she added 152 new members in just 12 weeks after adding this. And it's all automated. This is from her free opt-in. Membership funnel number 4, the coaching week funnel. This one was really popularized by a woman in my highest level mastermind. Her name is Sarah Williams, who has 2 significant memberships. One is a subscription box. She has thousands of members that belong to this subscription box. So much so that she's doing now and leveraging the buying power of that community. P.S. When you build a membership, you have incredible buying power to be able to negotiate amazing deals with big brands. She, as part of her subscription box, is now doing deals with Kate Spade, as an example, because she's got several thousand members in her membership. They were very open, and now she's done a whole bunch of stuff with them. But anyway, in addition to the subscription box membership, she also started an information-based membership teaching how to grow a subscription box business. And that business went from 12 founding members in March of 2020 to 1,700 members by the end of October of 2020. She went from like essentially a brand new business to a multi-million-dollar business in less than a year using this funnel. So here's how it works. Number 1, you run ads to a 5-day coaching week, which is a super low price. I think in Sarah's case, it's $10. During the coaching week, you deliver in helping them think through the very basics or the very first steps in their journey. So almost always the coaching week is focused on the few things right here in the very beginning stages, okay? So in Sarah's case, her coaching week, she's walking people through thinking about what might go in the subscription box. And she does this sticky note exercise where she helps people map out a year worth of subscription box content. Does that make sense so far? So really basic, really upfront. Then during the coaching week, she makes the offer for the membership. So 2,100 plus members, $57 a month or $570 a year. Here's examples of her ads. So again, you can see she's emphasizing the coaching week, just $10. She, and this is the page that they get to when they click the ad. She also has an upsell on this, by the way, which is $27, which gets them VIP, which is late night Q&A sessions with her during the coaching week. And yeah, here it is here, coaching week upsell. They get the beginner's checklist and the extra Q&A sessions. This is the results. Coaching week number 1, she had 2,500 registrations, 42% conversion into the membership. Coaching week number 2 that she did, 2,100 registrants, 42% conversion. Coaching week number 3, 2,400, 31%. Coaching week number 4, just over 2,000 registrations, 37% conversion rate. Why does this convert so well? It converts so well because it gives people a chance to experience the value that you provide inside of the membership, right? They get to experience it. And they get to see you in action. And this is the growth of her membership. You can see just how quickly it just took off. By the way, notice the growth curve. Holla! Holla! Isn't that exactly what we were talking about this morning? Like there's that stair step, right? Okay, next funnel, the 48-hour funnel. This is another one of those super simple. Is this helpful so far, by the way? Just giving ideas. We'll talk about how to structure this in a minute. Okay, so here's how this works. So when you have a closed membership, which means you're not open all the time, and people come to your sales page, you're going to have a wait list where people can sign up for the wait list. Generally, you're going to nurture that list leading up to the opening of your membership at some point. But you can also do these 48-hour funnels where you open the membership just to the wait list for 48 hours and you're solely doing it via email. There's no webinar, there's no, coaching week, there's no challenge, there's no nothing. It's just straight up email that says, hey, we've been closed. Now we're open. We're only open for 48 hours. Come join us. So I've given you some examples here of the cadence of emails. So the week before, you might send one week before, 2 days before, 1 day before. And what those emails are really designed to do is to give people a heads up that something special is coming on XYZ date. And then the 48-hour promo, you've got essentially 5 emails, one at 9 a.m., one at 7 p.m. on the first day, and on the second day, 9 a.m., 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. as an example cadence. This is Joan, Gary, and Scott Paley. They run a membership called the Nonprofit Leadership Lab. Scott's in my highest level mastermind, and this is a membership that serves nonprofit leaders. So it's a pretty niche market, and B, a market that a lot of people would think does not have money to be able to build a multi-million-dollar a year membership around. Well, they've done it. 47 a month, more than 5,000 plus members. Here's what happened with this simple 48-hour funnel. They sent these emails to their list in January, added 334 people to their membership. They sent it again, by the way, same emails, didn't change the emails, same emails. Sent it in April, added another 300. Sent it again in July, another 260. They added 895 new members using this email campaign 3 times. Super simple. That's their membership there, the Nonprofit Leadership Lab. Okay, membership funnel number 6. This is the social funnel. So you've heard me talk about closing a membership and how that creates urgency to join when you open. In some markets, however, it's not necessarily appropriate to close the membership. So what do you do in these situations? So an example would be, I'll get to the example in a minute. So here's essentially how this works. Number 1, you make some social posts and you include a call to action for the membership in those social posts. Those call to actions drive to the sales page converts. The key here, though, in this is that you're doing these types of posts all the time. It's like a regular, consistent cadence. Multiple times a week, you're going to have posts that have a call to action for your membership. So a perfect example is Ginger Dean. So Ginger, she's a psychotherapist. And before, the old model that she was using to grow her business was one-on-one with clients. 2020 hit and her business exploded. She had more clients than she knew what to do with. And she was overworked and overstressed, transitioned to a membership. And $37 a month, she has more than 2,100 members. But she said to me, she's like, Stu, I can't do a closed model. Because she, in her membership, helps women who are coming out of really abusive relationships. And she's like, when these women are looking for help, like, I can't wait 6 months until I open the membership to help them. I got to help them now. So she's used this social funnel. And here's an example. This is her sales page, but here's an example of her social funnel. So she'll make these posts. You notice that she's always got in her Instagram profile a link to join the membership. And the example that she's got here is this post says, you weren't ghosted if they keep coming back. They bait you into an argument to flex control by using your abandonment wounds against you. And then this is the caption for it. And in the caption, she says, click the link in my bio to join us. This is another example. This one's a carousel post. She does a lot of these carousel posts, but almost always the last 2 slides in her carousel post will be about the membership. So you can see, usually it's a post that speaks to the reality of what these women are facing in their lives. Then the second to last post is in the carousel is, remember, we're not doing this anymore. So she reminds them that, like, you don't have to settle for this. You don't have to do this. And then it leads to the last slide, which is essentially a call to action for her membership. And she repeats that on a very consistent, regular basis. Every single week, she's got one of those carousel posts, guaranteed, usually multiple, that have a call to action to the membership. Membership funnel number 7, the back end funnel. How many of you in the chat, if you have an existing course, I want you to just type course in the chat. How many of you in the room have an existing course? Yeah, a lot of you. Okay, amazing. I see a whole bunch of you. Melinda, Corinne, Christy, Connie, Virginia, Dr. Gina, Nikki, amazing. Obvio attendee. Okay, great, awesome. You guys should get to know Unknown. You make great fun. Chevelle, Fabiana. Okay, so that's awesome. Here's the fun part. If you've got a course, oh my gosh, selling a membership is the easiest thing you can do. And I'm going to give you the language to use to set this up here in just a minute. But the concept is this. You deliver your course. At the end of the course, my recommendation always is to have a graduation ceremony. Most people do not do this. And it's a big mistake. The reason you want to have a graduation ceremony is so that you can tie a bow on the experience that you are now completing and set the stage to invite them into your membership where they continue to receive the amazingness that they received in your course. So my simple philosophy on this is to deliver like crazy, create an amazing experience for our people. In fact, help them as much as possible in the delivery of that course to begin experiencing progress. In fact, I want them to experience as much progress as possible during the course. And here's why. Because at that graduation ceremony, I can now reflect back to them the progress that they've had. And the language I use goes like this. You know, we've had an amazing time together during our 10 weeks of this course. In fact, I just want to take a moment and I just want to look at all the progress that you've had during our time together. Screenshot, 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 screenshot. Look at the progress that has happened in such a short period of time. Now here's what I want you to do. Imagine the kind of progress that could be had if you were plugged into this community all year long. We made this amount of progress in 10 weeks. Imagine what would be possible for you over the course of a year. That just sets up that frame. People instantly see the value. And now conversions will skyrocket for that membership when it's coming on the back end of a course. So think of the delivery of your course as the pre-launch to your membership. The better experience they have in applying what they're learning from you in the course, the higher the conversion rates will be when you offer the membership. So the process is deliver the course, make an offer at the graduation ceremony, email follow-up with a deadline. Perfect example of this is Amy Porterfield. She has her course called Digital Course Academy. And at the end of that, she then offers her membership, which is called Momentum. As an example of it here. And she experiences incredible conversion rates. The first time we ever did this for our own program, I was shocked at the conversion. It was right around I want to say a 30 to close to 40% of people that were in the course ended up joining the membership. And there was a higher price membership. Our membership is a $297 a month membership. So they paid $2,000 for our course. Our membership is $297. So it's a higher price membership. Now, general rule of thumb, a back-end membership generally is going to be 10 to 15% of the price point of the course. So if the course is $2,000 for the course, a back-end membership generally is going to be $200 to $250 a month. Does that make sense? If it's a $3,000 course, generally a back-end membership will start at $300 a month, just as a general rule of thumb. Membership funnel number 8. This is the influencer funnel. This one has, I think, some of the biggest potential for all of us right now. Huge potential. Here's how it works. Number one, you research influencers who are already in front of your market. Number two, you structure a deal with those influencers to create either a social post or some type of ad in their content, which drives people to a webinar where you then make the offer for the membership. And it can also be used where their social post gets then turned into an ad that you run on a regular basis as well. An amazing example of this is Tiffany Eliche and Jabril Agoro. Jabril was one of the very first people to go through my program. And he was friends with Tiffany, who at the time had a following of about 10,000 people on Facebook. She teaches primarily Black women how to manage their finances. And Jabril is the behind-the-scenes partner in that relationship, and they're both incredibly brilliant. But Jabril just stuck to one funnel. And initially, it was ads to a webinar, which then sold the membership. And he stuck with that for years. And then, in the last 2.5 years, he started leveraging this influencer funnel, and things went to a whole new level. As you can see, 40,000 paying members. I just want you to do the math on that for a second. This is one information-based membership, 40,000 members at $49 a month. That's a big business, and it's growing rapidly. I can see people in the chat doing the math. Yeah, thank you guys. So here's this is the membership. Do I have any from that? Okay, so let me just back up. So essentially, every single week, Jabril gets a list of influencers that were researched by his assistant. They then send them a initial message. Usually it's on Instagram direct message or Facebook direct message. And they begin the conversation about sharing their webinar with their audience and paying the influencer a flat monthly fee. So this is where it depends. Each influencer, it's a negotiation. So in Jabril's case, what he's trying to do is negotiate, instead of a one-time post, multiple posts throughout the month. And after they do that initial month, if they see that audience is converting, they then try to lock in a commitment of multiple months. And they'll pay anywhere, it depends on the influencer, but they've paid as little as a couple $100 to as much as a few $1,000s. In one case, he was telling me that they've paid upwards of $10,000 a month just because that influencer was driving so much traffic. The ninth and final funnel is the challenge funnel. This is kind of brought up a little bit before, I know, in the chat. The way this is structured, ads drive to a 5-day challenge, low price, which then sells the sales, which then obviously you make the offer on the sales page. Christy Hawkins is a great example of this. She teaches art at thesocialeasel.com. She has more than 1,500 members at $47 a month, $470 for the year. So she runs this challenge for $10. And what I love about this challenge is that she's teaching people how to paint a particular painting. Okay, so in this case, it would be this floral painting. So they join the challenge with the focus of completing this painting. And what I'm going to come back to Christie's in a minute, but so they go through the week. So basically the first day is they're outlining it. The second day is she starts bringing in different colors. By the end of the week, this thing has gone from a blank page to this beautiful painting. There's a sense of accomplishment. The people going through that challenge feel like they have done and accomplished something, which they have, which makes it very easy to then foreshadow the progress that they would experience if they were in this group, in this environment all year long. Very similar to the course, but much shorter, condensed period of time. The other thing that I wanted to just kind of bring to note that I love that Christy does is that when her members join her membership, one of the things that she does is she encourages all members to do the same painting. And the reason is because several months later, they do the same painting again. Why do you think that they do the same painting again? See how far they've come. And there's nothing better visually than being able to see those things side by side. I'll give you another example of that. A friend of mine, Susan Garrett, she owns a membership in the dog training space. Susan's a bit of a firecracker, And she does the same visual comparison of where they were and where they, and the progress that they've made, because she encourages her members to take video of their crazy, out of control dog. So I should send her the video of my parents' dog. Like, I was just showing BJ at lunch, like the video of the dog jumping off the couches, on the couch, and all around, screaming around the house. But initially, people were hesitant to actually send in their videos because they were, they were a little ashamed that they're calling their dog and their dog's just like not listening and running away, or like, they're trying to play fetch and the dog's just like, what? I'm not going to get that thing. Like, so she said initially people were hesitant to actually share, but she created this safe environment. Now, these are her words, not mine, but she said, in this community, we're going to show you how to turn your shit show into a star show. And so the worse your dog is behaving, the better the transformation will be and the better the story will be. And she runs a contest once a year. And it's so brilliant because she encourages her members to put together a video that shows the before and the after. But if they don't capture the before in the moment, they can't tell the same story emotionally because they don't have the footage, right? Like, it's like one thing for me to tell a story about how bad my dog was, but now my dog's like perfectly trained. Like, I can't show that. But if I got a video of my dog like being an absolute nutcase, and now I show the video of how well trained my dog is, now that story becomes so much more compelling. So she's created this safe environment for people to share their videos of the beginning stages of their dog down here. And then once a year, she runs this contest where now they show the difference that the dog has made, and it is incredible social proof of the change and the progress that can happen when you apply what you have learned in the membership. So Christy and Susan do a phenomenal job of that. So those 9 high profit membership funnels again. Number 1, the launch funnel. Number 2, the secret invite funnel. Number 3, the thank you email funnel. Number 4, the coaching week funnel. Number 5, the 48-hour funnel. Number 6, the social funnel. Number 7, the back-end funnel. Number 8, the influencer funnel. Number 9, the challenge funnel. Now, will every strategy be a right fit for your business? No, it will not. And I don't ever expect or encourage you to try to do all of these. I want to encourage you to experiment with just one of them. Just try one of them. And there are some that are so stinking simple and easy to get started with, right? And you can just start with one of those right from the get-go. But then you can layer in these funnels, and in the layering is where you begin to experience the exponential growth within the membership. So I'm going to stop the slides and looking at this crazy dog doing some experiments. I'm going to open it up to some questions. So both online and in the room, we'll get to some questions and we'll talk through some of the marketing side of things.
So talk to me about pricing for a second. People doing challenges for free. I know what I heard, if I heard everything correctly, is every challenge, everything, $10, $40. Just what did you learn through that?
Yeah. Okay, so let's address that. Yes, I'd much rather have somebody paying a low dollar amount than a free challenge. By far. The conversions are way higher. The engagement is way higher. The people implementing what they're learning is way higher. So in our communities, we very rarely ever recommend free challenges or free coaching weeks. It's almost always low dollar, like, generally around 10. We've seen a number of people even do upwards of $20 for a coaching week or challenge, but generally right around the $10 mark. Then there's an upsell, of a VIP experience or some extra thing, and then the offer for the membership. Yep. So definitely paid, you'll see much higher conversions for sure.
Do you have an average membership monthly fee that you kind of see most often being used, even a range?
Sure. So if it's in a non-make money or save money market, and it's a front-end membership, generally it's going to be between $10 to $50 a month. Okay. This is where almost all the art memberships, dog training memberships, guitar memberships, these kinds of memberships that aren't related to making money or saving money, they're going to fall in that range. If it has anything to do with money, like making money or saving money, the price point goes up. Generally, you're going to be at a starting point of about $30 a month, upwards for a front-end membership, generally around $100 to maybe $150 a month, okay? Back-end memberships, it's different. Back-end memberships, again, if it's not in a make-money market, price ranges are going to be between $100, maybe up to $300, but that's rare. Usually it's around $100 to $200 a month. For a make-money membership, man, the gamut. It can go from $200 a month all the way up to thousands a month. It's all in the pricing contrast that's created in terms of the value and what they're paying. Much like I was sharing earlier with Andrew Kraus over in Australia, who's got the membership providing social media ads for real estate agents. If they just sell one house in the entire year, it's paid for itself, right? So you can create easy contracts. Like for me, when I'm pricing our membership, our membership is $297 a month. So let me show you the math on this and how to create contrast, especially, how many of you in the room are in a make money or save money market? Yeah, okay, majority. Okay, in the chat, if you are in a, let me know if you are in a make money market or a, let's just say a not make money market. Okay, make money, non, make money, no. Okay, health is wealth. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, non, make money. Okay, so it's kind of a split. Okay, so let me just show you a little trick. When it comes to pricing, it's all about how we frame the pricing. So I'll give you an example. Maybe you guys don't get as excited about this as I do, but when I went into the grocery store the other day, blueberries were on sale. $2 off a pint. I was ecstatic. I was like, I love blueberries. That's a good deal. I loaded up on blueberries. I was pumped. I was, gushing to my wife. I'm like, but honey, you should see the blueberries are on sale. I bought like 5 pints of them. She's like, oh, great. So I was super pumped about $2 off the blueberries. Now, same week, we are in a car dealership looking to get a new car. How do you think I would feel if the dealer said, you know what, Stu, I got a deal for you. $2 off. I'd be like, $2 off? Who are you? I'd be insulted, right? It's the same $2. In one scenario, I'm ecstatic. In the other scenario, I'm insulted. What's the difference? It's all in what it's being compared to, right? So contrast is everything. Oh, there I go with the marker again. Gosh, darn it. Okay, so $2 off when blueberries are regularly $4, that's a significant savings, right? So $2 compared to the $4, significant savings. $2 compared to a $40,000 vehicle, let's just say, is insignificant. So the only difference that's changed in terms of this $2 is what it's being compared to. So you and I, when we are thinking about pricing, we've got to frame what we are offering or our price, and we've got to anchor it to something. If we don't anchor it to something, our market will, and they're going to interpret whether it's too cheap or too expensive based on what they're comparing it to. So the way in which you do this is, I'll give you I love this kind of stuff. So I'm sorry if I geek out on this, but I'll show you a couple different scenarios. So if you have multiple levels, so to speak, which some of you I've spoken to have got multiple price points, like lower or higher. So if you have, if your membership is a front-end membership, it's a lower price point. Here's the contrast you want to make. Let's say membership is $50 a month. And it gets you this, 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 and this. You want to have a contrast to something that's $500 a month. And it gets you this, 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 and one other thing. So do you see the contrast? This is the one that we're trying to sell. So when we're creating the contrast, the value is essentially going to be the same, but significantly cheaper. Make sense? Now, what if we wanted to do the opposite? This is the one where we want to sell in this case. In this scenario, this is the one we're trying to sell on this case. So do you see how that's framed up completely different? Same price points, totally different feelings. In this scenario, the customer's going to say, okay, I'm pretty much getting everything the same. Like, for a fraction of the price, that's going to be the default answer. In this scenario, it's just like, man, I'm barely getting anything. Like, this is the one that, I'm getting everything. Now, perfect example of this in the book, Predictably Irrational. If you have not read that book, it's an oldie, but it is a goodie. Predictably Irrational. In one of the chapters, he talks about the magazine, The Economist. And essentially, it was a pricing example. And he talked about how initially The Economist had two different price points. Price point number one was the online version, and it was, I think it was like $79 for the year, and the print version was $125 for the year. Now, in this scenario, just quick poll, and online, I want you to let me know. Online, let me know whether you think most people selected the $79 option or the $125 option. 79 or 125. Let me know in the chat. Okay, I see, it's kind of a split. Oh, all right. Okay, in the room, what do you guys think? What do you think most people took when they were presented these two options? The online version, 79, or the print at 125? Print? Who says print? Okay, who says online? Okay, most people, when these were both presented, selected the online version. Okay, now, here's what's interesting. The Economist magazine, they're like, okay, we want to drive up our average transaction value. We want more people selecting the 125. So they did something pretty genius. Oh, crikey. They created another option for people. Oh, I love this stuff. You can still get the online for $79. You could still get the print for $125, or you get the print plus online for the magic price of $125. Now, some of you might be thinking, Stu, you silly Canadian, you already wrote down $125 for the other option. It's got to be a mistake. That's what everybody thought. But what happened, in this scenario, 79 is being compared to 125. And if you had the option of essentially getting the same thing for $79 versus paying $125, you're going to pick 79. In this scenario, they're not even looking at the 79 anymore. They're comparing these two, and they're like, wait a minute. I can get print and online for the same price as just print? Like, I'd be an idiot just to pay for print. Of course I'm going to get the print and online version. And that's what happened. And the vast majority of people then selected the print and online, and it skyrocketed the transaction value of The Economist. The only thing that changed in that scenario was what people were anchoring or comparing or contrasting the price to. It was the framing of the price. So I love pricing. And when I'm pricing my membership, I love comparing it to an outcome that is very easy for people to wrap their head around, okay? So I'll give you an example. In my membership, our price point is $297 a month. Now, I'm just going to do some math. So there's nothing worse than spelling in front of an audience. It's trying to do math in front of an audience. So I'm going to get an assist with the old calculator. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, so what I generally do is I will say to our members, I'll ask them, what is the average price point of your membership? So let me just ask here, like, average price point of the membership. What do you think your membership is going to be priced at? $297. $297 a month?
Want to know why? You just said yours was.
Okay, fair enough. Let me just write these down. Okay, so just shout them out for me. $297 a month? $197. $197. 97. 497. Great. Any others? 75. Somebody say 75? Okay. 75. Online, what about you guys? 127. Okay, I'm going to write these down. 127. I think the lowest one I see is 49. Is there anything lower than 49?
1995.
Okay, so I'm just going to round out to 20 bucks, if that's okay. 20 bucks. Okay, great, perfect. So I'll do this, and I'll ask people to submit their, price points just like we did. And then what I do is I do some fancy dancy math. I say, okay, based on our membership, if all you do is get one idea to welcome one new member this entire year, and that member stays in your membership, it's paid for itself. You don't even need one member. You need 0.7 of a member. And the membership is paid for itself. Now at $20 a month, we do the math. What's like 15 members maybe? 297 divided by 20, 15 members. So all you would need is 15 new members. Not 15 new members every single month. 15 members total because of the nature of memberships. And now what happens is people aren't looking at this as a potentially $3,000 a year investment. They're anchored to, all I need is 11 members or one member or 0.7 members. And now that becomes so much easier for them to see just how profitable it is to be inside of our membership. Because it's not only do they need, in this case, one new member, or in your case, what do we say, 15 new members? Because what I would say is, if all you do is get one idea by being in this membership that helps you welcome 15 new members, would it be worth it? 100%. But do you think that you're going to get more than one idea by being immersed in this community that's exclusively dedicated to helping you grow your membership site, leaning on decades of experience, tapping into the collective wisdom of thousands of other membership site owners? Do you think you'll get more than one idea? Of course you will. So what makes it even more of a no-brainer. So pricing is all about how we frame up the value compared to what people are going to pay. And the more you can distill it down, the easier it becomes. You heard me share the example of Andrew Kraus over in Australia. If all his real estate agents do is make one more sale as a result of the ads, it's paid for its membership. People can wrap their head around that possibility, and it makes it a no-brainer to be a part of that membership. Make sense?
Yeah, along those lines. Is this thing working? Oh, there we go. That was really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to circle back to what you said about challenges, that free challenges don't really convert well.
They don't convert as well. Not that they don't convert well, just don't convert as well as a paid challenge.
Yeah, because with the linchpin idea and the MIFKI and the most incredible free gift ever, what my offer is we're doing a 30-day free trial to a CRM and doing a 5-day challenge along with that, and then giving them a bunch of other courses as part of the package. And that turns into the continuity subscription model. It's just after 30 days, they pay the $197 a month for the CRM and all the other course content that will continue to drip to them each month. But I was just curious if I should just transition that to just like a $10 challenge instead, rather than doing a 30-day free trial. Because it's technically not 100% free. It's only a 30-day free trial, and then it starts after that. So
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that compared to either a completely free challenge or a low-ticket challenge?
So the upside to free is you're going to get a lot more people in, right? Now, based on, the linchpin model that, Russell's been teaching, there's tremendous upside to getting more people in because more people are going to sign up for the trial. But my counter argument to that, so to speak, is you're going to see a lot higher turnover. So yes, you may get them in, but you're going to see a lot more people cancel the membership because there's not the same level of commitment versus somebody who's even just paying $10 to be a part of it. And we've seen it. And another example of this, recently Ryan Levesque was sharing with me that they did a pretty big experiment in their business. They were noticing that their free webinars, they were starting to see fewer and fewer people showing up. In fact, he said they normally averaged right around 30% show up rate. He said, embarrassingly, at one point, they had a 7% show up rate on his free webinar. And he's just like, this is horrible. And so they decided to do something different, and they started charging for their webinars. And they made them a little bit more workshop-y, so to speak. But the framing on this was amazing, by the way. I was sharing this with Russell. We are 100% going to use this in our own business. And again, this is all credit to Ryan. This is not Stu stuff. I'm just sharing with you like a real-world example of this. So what they did was they priced the webinar $25 if you showed up live, and you would get the recordings at the end. And by the way, they took attendance. Or $500 just for the recordings. So do you see the contrast, right? Like the huge contrast. So in this scenario, pop quiz, what do you think most people took? $25, right? No brainer. Okay, of course. Why would I pay $500 when I can get the recordings for $25? I just got to show up. So then what Ryan discovered was that they went from a roughly 30% show up rate to a 92% show up rate. And here's the most important part. They had 90% of the people all the way to the very end seeing the offer. So in a free webinar, generally, you're going to get, let's say in his case, 30% show up. Roughly about half of that percent are going to be gone before you get to the offer. So it's like a fraction of a fraction. So they had 92% show up, 90% see the offer, and their conversion rates were through the roof. They ended up making way more money from a front-end paid offer. front end paid webinar. Now, the other thing that I love, this is what there's a number of things that sold me. Higher attendance, higher show up rate, higher conversion rates. That was all amazing. But for me, the icing on the cake was that Ryan donated 100% of this upfront money to charity. So in the last year, they've raised over $500,000 for charity. And I'm just like, that's so incredible that that's woven in to his business model. But he said, Stu, it is amazing, and I'm super grateful that we are able to raise that money and give it to some amazing causes. He said, but the other thing that it did was it eliminated any refund requests. Because what he would say, these are his words, not mine, but he would say, like, if somebody asked for a refund for this, he'd say, I'm sorry, we've already donated the money to charity. We can't get that money back. And so it eliminated, like, any refund requests. So overall, it was just a plus across the board. And in his words, he was saying the same thing that we see in our membership communities as it relates to paid coaching weeks and paid challenges. And that is higher attendance, higher engagement, higher conversions. So you're going to get fewer people in the experience, so to speak, but overall, you're going to be net positive because of the stick. That make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, what if the strategy is just to get them to upgrade into our high ticket service anyway? Could more eyeballs be better than if it's not just strictly a membership site, right? It's a high ticket service that we're really going after.
Yeah, and I get that. I would just, again, I want to just challenge a little bit. You know, like, why create the membership if you're not looking for the membership to work? It's almost like
It's because about 50% of all of our sales opportunities for the high ticket service are not at a stage in their business where they can afford the high ticket service. So we want them in our ecosystem. We want them to learn from us. We want them that when they 6 months from now or 12 months from now, when they are successful in the solar industry, you know, it just makes sense for them to hire
for
us
sure.
at that point.
Okay. So in that sense, what I want you thinking about is just delivering on this membership. Because I'm telling you, dude, you deliver on that membership and you will 100% have those people graduate up to being able to afford you as one of their clients. But here's the thing. Here's what I would do. If I were you, I would even communicate that. Oh, I'm so excited for you. Hang on one second. Let me find the page. Oh gosh, I'm so excited to. Okay. Here's what I would say. We have a service that provides X, Y, and Z that starts at $5,000 a month. Now, it is amazing because you don't have to think about a thing. We do everything for you. You just get to, the benefits of all the work that we're doing, blah, 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 blah. But I know that many of you right now are not at the point where you could afford our starting at $5,000 a month service. And that's the purpose of this membership. The purpose of this membership is to teach you what we're doing with our high-priced clients so that you can begin to experience the benefits and get you to a point where hiring us is an absolute no-brainer. So in the beginning stages, you're going to be doing it yourself, but we're going to be there holding your hand, showing you exactly how to do it. But eventually, you're going to get to the point where you don't want to do it yourself and you want us to take care of it, and your business will be at the point where you can not only afford it, but it'll be an absolute no-brainer for you. So you're like planting the seed in the success path, that one of the stages of the success path is that their business has reached the milestone where they can now afford to pay you to just do it for them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I love that.
But here's the key to that. That success is based on them being able to get to the point to afford you. So you still got to double down. This is still got to be a membership that's going to move them forward in that success path, right? It can't be like this almost forgotten, thing that you're just kind of throwing out there. Like, I would treat it like our goal and our mission is to move people forward, because we know that when they get to that point, they not only have the funds to be able to afford us, but at that point, they don't want to be doing all of the nitty gritty. They want to be able to hand it off, and we've built this incredible amount of trust in the meantime.
Yeah, love that. Thank you.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited. I love that framing of just weaving it right into the success path. It's awesome. Go ahead.
What is your membership? $297? Is that?
Yeah.
And what's the product that you're selling at? Is it? What is your offer?
What do I sell?
Yeah, at $297 a month.
Okay, so you're asking about the deliverables. Am I right on that?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a couple key deliverables. Like one, essentially, okay, so from a content perspective, you never want to have more than 4 deliverables a month. More than 4 creates overwhelm. So 4 deliverables a month essentially equals 1 primary deliverable per week. So an example of that, you want, and even with that 1 deliverable per week, my recommendation is that you don't exceed more than 60 minutes per week, whatever the deliverable is. Because if you do, you're not accounting for both learning time and implementation time. So you got to create space for people to not only learn what to do, but you also got to create space for people to be able to implement what you're teaching. So in our membership, we have once a month, I do a live Q&A. And in that Q&A, I'm typically doing hot seats. So I'm going inside of a membership. I'm looking at a sales page. I'm looking at, I'm helping people with their messaging map. But it's granular. Like I'm marking their stuff up, right? And then teaching everybody as I'm going through it and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Another deliverable is we have essentially a behind the scenes with one of our membership site owners. So this is the second deliverable, yep. And people love this because they love seeing examples of how others have implemented what it is that we are teaching. So for example, like, would you like to be able to go inside of one of our most successful members and see their membership and how they've laid it out and structured it? Of course, like that's intriguing, right? Or we'll take people behind the scenes of like a launch that one of our members just did where they added thousands of members, or we'll look at the email campaign like of Scott Paley as an example, who may have just done a 48-hour launch. And so we go behind the scenes and look at what one of our members has just recently done, with a particular promotion or campaign. Third deliverable is we have co-working sessions. And what I love about this is that these co-working sessions are dedicated time for people to implement what it is that we are teaching. This is where most of our members get the most amount of work done in their membership. And I'm not actually on any of those. Our team facilitates those. We do them. We have one day and we do 3 different time zones. And our team shows up and there's like a little introductory. Then everybody gets broken off into small groups. And essentially they are working for a blocked period of time, and then they come back and our team wraps it all up and away we go. So it's just a dedicated period of time where they're working on something specific. That's the key. And leading up to that, there's a, framed up where, what specifically are you going to be working on?
And about how many people would be in those breakout rooms?
4 to 5. Yep, 4 to 5, small group. But here's why this is important. And I'm going to talk about this later this afternoon. But from a community standpoint, you want your members building relationships with each other. It's really hard to do if the only interaction is like a big Zoom or a big broadcast. It's really hard to develop a relationship in the chat. It can be done, but it's so much easier when it's a small group situation. Even large Zooms, really hard. Small Zooms, really easy. And so we love having, creating that space for that.
Are they facilitated? Do you have your people in them, or are they on their own?
They're on their own, so they're given essentially a structure. Like our team comes in, everybody comes in. Our team gives them a structure. Then they're broken off into the groups and they're on their own. And then they come back and our team wraps it up. Yep. So that's the third deliverable.
So the members are on their own in their own breakout room?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I mean, Stu, if I'm doing co-working with you, I mean,
That's a different.
I'm trying to get an understanding of what I'm doing. I'm in this room with you.
Yeah.
Like, are we talking to each other?
Yeah, so you would say basically we give you a framework for that session. So we would say, okay, share, obviously who you are, who your market is, and what specific component or element are you working on during this co-working session. So each person kind of goes around, shares it, and then they go into working on it. And I know this is going to sound super weird, but the whole co-working session is just everybody kind of working in silence on their thing in a small Zoom group chat. But here's why it's so powerful. There's actually a membership. I'm trying to think of, oh, my bad. I forgot the audio. But there's actually a membership, and I can't remember the name right now. It'll come to me. But the membership, the whole membership, is just these facilitated co-working sessions. And people pay, I think it's like around $40 a month, just to have these accountability. That's what it is. It's accountability. It's to show up and we get stuff done during that dedicated period of time.
And do they ask the other members in that session at the end?
Yes.
Hey, I'm thinking of this, or I thought, or
no. So that's a little bit different.
Okay.
So we also have what we call breakout brainstorm sessions. So in that case, it is more mastermindy, right? So they're not coming, in the co-working sessions, they come, they share what they're working on, and then they go, and they work on the stuff, and at the end of it, they say, okay, here's what I got done, right? In the breakout brainstorm session, it's like a mastermind. So same thing, they come in, our team welcomes them, breaks them off into small groups, and now together they're all masterminding about whatever particular challenge or problem that they have coming up, or they have coming up. So that's our fourth deliverable.
Oh, that's the fourth deliverable.
That's the fourth deliverable.
And what do you call that one?
A breakout brainstorm session.
Breakout brainstorm.
But your deliverables you can legit, I could rattle off a whole bunch of different types of deliverables. Like when I was partners with Michael Hyatt, inside of his membership, we had something called the member makeover. So this is where, similarly, Michael and his eldest daughter, Megan, would go through somebody's platform and kind of give them a critique. The second deliverable we called it a backstage pass. This was a 10 to 15 minute video where we would take people behind the scenes of what Michael was doing in his video or in his business. So in this case, like he did a video on how he comes up with blog topics. He did a video on how he produces his podcast. He did a video. This is ridiculous. This is the most popular one during my time with him. It was a backstage pass on how he packs his suitcase when he leaves for a speaking engagement. The affiliate commissions he received from the suitcase that he recommended went through the charts on that thing. People were so fascinated. It was amazing. But you just never know. You just never know what your members are going to be interested in. But the intriguing part about that was people were kind of taken behind the scenes of what he was doing in his business, and people loved that component of it. So we had the member makeover, the backstage pass. We had a what was the other deliverable? The other deliverable was like a how-to article. Yeah, that's what it was called. It was called Plat U How To. And it was essentially an article that walked through a very specific process, so to speak. But it was it wasn't a video or anything. It was an article with screenshots and stuff like that. And then the fourth component was a live Q&A. Yep. So there's all kinds of different ways you can decide on what deliverables you're going to offer. And I said 4, that's 4 max. But if it can be even less. Like an example would be Dana Abraham. She has 2 memberships. First membership that she launched was a back-end membership. She has a course in the parenting market. It's around $500. And then she has a back-end membership. So it's several $100s a month. Now, her point of friction was that she's got a pretty big audience, but she knew that the $500 course was too high of an entry point for a lot of her people. So she created a much lower price point front end membership. It's $27 a month, and it's one deliverable a month. And she's not involved in the creation of that deliverable. Here's what it is. She teaches parents how to she teaches parents how to essentially work with kids who maybe have challenging behaviors, okay? And a lot of it is how you speak to the children and so forth. So her front-end membership is legit conversations with her existing members, going through scripts that they have used with interactions with their children. So the process is that her team lines up these interviews. They do them over a 2-day period. They do 12 interviews over 2 days. Team takes that, they create the script and the deliverable, and then they schedule them out accordingly. There's no community, there's no other element to that. That's in her higher price membership. This is just a simple one deliverable in her front end membership, and she is absolutely crushing it with this one thing. And even better, she's not involved in any of the creation of that, and they've got now more than 18 months worth of content scheduled and ready to go. Like, she's that far ahead because it's of a batch producing process. We have a membership called Audience Builder Academy. This is the membership that we launched for our charity. 100% of every person that registers for that goes directly to our charity. We have one deliverable a month.
Audience Builder Academy.
Audience Builder Academy, yep. And when you sign up, which I hope you do, 100% of it goes to Village Impact. But essentially, I interview an industry expert on one specific strategy that they're using to grow their audience or grow their list. And so the deliverable, essentially, there's 2 deliverables. One is the initial interview that I do. The second is a follow-up Q&A that I do. And the follow-up Q&A is roughly about 25 minutes. It's not a long thing. So the interview itself is usually about 25, 30 minutes. The follow-up Q&A is about 25, 30 minutes. And then our team puts together a document that essentially breaks down what that person said into like a blueprint. So that's the deliverable. But the way I frame that up again is like, what's the value of one new member joining your course, your membership, or whatever? And in this, do you think that you'll get one idea that'll help you welcome, X, Y? Again, same framing. And that's why it's a no-brainer, and people love it and people stay. Yeah. But the key thing is, the reason I recommend that we get started earlier with a founding member launch is because you're going to discover what your members actually really want. And I'll give you an example of this. We often think we know, but you don't know until you know.
Right.
And perfect example is Paul Evans. Paul had a membership called Teen Life Ministries, where he was helping youth pastors. Now, most youth pastors, they have a full-time job, and then they pastor part-time on the weekend. So he created this membership to help them. And inside the membership, he would provide like all kinds of how-to videos and how-to articles. They had a community and a discussion forum. They had a whole bunch of stuff. But one day he sent a email to his members, and he asked a very powerful question. I want you to write this question down, because whenever you launch a membership, you ought to send this email to your audience probably 2 or 3 times a year. And the question was, if we were to get rid of everything in the membership, what is the one thing you would want us to keep? If we were to get rid of everything in the membership, what is the one thing you would want us to keep? And when he first sent that message to his audience, what he discovered was that they wanted to get rid of pretty much everything. But there was absolutely one thing that the overwhelming vast majority of the members did not want to get rid of. And it was such an easy deliverable for Paul. And that deliverable was that every month or every week, they would provide a PowerPoint presentation, which essentially had a done-for-you sermon for the youth pastors. So they didn't have to research and develop a presentation and blah. They just literally downloaded Paul's presentation, made a couple tweaks, and boom, their sermon was ready for Sunday. They weren't interested in the community. They weren't interested in videos and the articles and all this stuff. He cut 75% of the content he was providing in the membership and did not see a drop in retention whatsoever because the members weren't there for that. They were there for this one thing. So this is why like getting started earlier is to your advantage, because you very quickly discover what really works and what the members really want, and you could get rid of the rest.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, hopefully that helps. Okay, I'm going to take a question from the chat, and then we'll take a quick break, and then we'll move to the final section of the day. Let me see here. Is there any questions in the chat, friends? If you got a question, type in question in all caps and then your question after. Otherwise, we'll take a quick break and we'll head to our third component. Okay, somebody's got a question. I see it. Okay, so somebody said how to do this for a non-money making market. Okay, when you say how to do this, what exactly do you mean? What part of it are you wanting me to go a little bit deeper on? Let me know that. Okay, I see one question here. What about the Dream 100 with giving away free memberships to your Dream 100? Is that acceptable? I've very rarely ever seen membership, people join a membership and stick when it's given for free. Very rarely. It can happen. From my experience, very rarely happens. And what happens is a high turnover. So you get a lot of people in, but you get a lot of people leaving in the first month or two. So I don't recommend it. Somebody said, do I need to go live in the membership for $97 a month? No, not necessarily. You don't need to do anything. It's your membership. You can structure it however you want. It's all about framing, what you're providing and the progress people will make. Somebody said, how to set pricing when prospects compare our pricing versus discount or competition. Okay, whenever you're running into a situation where they're comparing it to something else, you have just got to, you've got to find an element that makes you unique and different. So if I were to ask you, like, what makes your membership different than your competition? If you don't have an answer for that, that's where I would start. That's where I would start, because it's really difficult if you can't tell me what's different about it and they're comparing it to a competitor who is priced cheaper. Of course they're going to go with the competitor, right? So you got to tell me first what's different about the membership, and then we can build a framing up and around that. So somebody said, okay, this is a really good question from Jeffrey. We're working on our first membership. Would you start with a low-end 97 or mid-level 497? Here's what I would just say about pricing when you're starting. Always start lower than where you anticipate you will end up. Because every time you do a price increase, it's a built-in promotion. So, for example, when we started Michael Hyatt's membership, we started at $20 a month. Then 6 months later, we raised to $25 a month, then $30, then $37, then $47. And each time was a promotion which said, hey, get in before such and such date, before the price increases. And it is one of our most successful promotions. So price increase promos are amazing. All right, friends, I see some other questions. I'm going to circle back to them. We're going to take a quick break.
Here's to the crazy ones.
The misfits.
The rebels.
The troublemakers.
The round pegs in the square holes.
The ones who see things differently.
They're not fond of rules.
And they have no respect for the status quo.
You can quote them,
disagree with them,
glorify or vilify them.
About the only thing you can't do is ignore them.
Because they change things. They push the human race forward.
And while some might see them as the crazy ones,
we see genius.
Because the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world
are the ones who do.